What you see coming out of Saturday's work?
Felt good about operationally. I thought those guys did a really nice job. Again, anytime you're in that first live situation in the stadium, a lot of what we're looking for is what does that look like from the standpoint of getting able to get aligned, efficient communication, please there. Certainly like the explosiveness, some of the big plays, but just consistency. It's always going to come down to that, being the most consistent offense we can be.
We all talked about after the scrimmage using that helmet communication. Can you just maybe talk about being able to use that for the first time?
Yeah, it was great. It really was. I think there's just a certain level of comfort where you're at least connected to the main guy down there on the field. And there's certainly some things we've learned from it, some things that we feel we can utilize with it. But again, we are practicing 75% of the time like we have it, and about 25% of the time that we don't. And we think that's important.
Bush, Brock, just seeing him 11-on-11 in game setting, just what were your overall impressions of how he performed Saturday?
Yeah, extremely steady. He's a guy that knows what he wants to do. Is really playing a consistent brand of football. Certainly things we want to take the next steps on with him. But he has been a guy since we've got here that just keeps getting better and better. So I think he's got a really good grasp of this thing. We're excited to cut him loose.
What should we think of those scrimmages as kind of moving day for guys in the depth chart? Anybody who stood out Saturday who you have to take some more notice of now?
Yeah, I think, certainly a couple guys jumped out to us. Hardly Gilmore had an extremely good scrimmage. A guy that obviously we've been high on since we got here. Jamarian Wilcox did a really nice job at running back, and some of those other young running backs really got some opportunities to do some good things. Was pleased with both Farmer and Mincy on the right side of the line and the line in general and how they protected. So again, as you guys know, it's a constant moving a guy here to the left side, to the right side, trying to make the best lineups you can, but there's certainly some guys really coming on.
Wilcox was a guy they were really high on Wilcox coming into this last year. We didn't hear much about him in his registration. We didn't hear much about him in the spring. What's the biggest difference?
There's always been a level of toughness with him, and there's always been, of all the backs, he's got that explosive play potential that we just mentioned. So now it just comes down to, again, the scheme, knowing what to do on every play, not just some of those plays for him, and playing a little bit overall more consistent.
In general, how are they coming along, picking up your offensive scheme?
They've done a tremendous job. I've said this all along here about this program. These guys want to be here. They're excited to be here. There's something about the culture here, and so they are all in 1,000%. I think for us, from an installation standpoint, we're throwing a lot at them. We are, and we're still in that phase of introduction, and then here in about 3-4 days, we'll kind of start to get this thing locked in. But it's an eager group. It's a good group that wants to work hard, and I've been super appreciative for that.
And on those explosive, Coach, how you doing overall across the board getting them executed?
Always room for improvement, but again, there's big play potential in this offense. There is. We think both schematically, but also the players that we have. We often talk about it. You never know when that play's going to come, but you get one shot at it. So you got to be ready. We got to trust landmarks. We got to make big plays, and obviously we got to keep working towards that.
Bush, you talked about the tight end room. This obviously experience is coming back. How's that room coming along with Josh Caddis specifically? He had some big plays, but he could be a threat in the passing game too. What do you see out of him?
Yeah, steady. And I know I've said that kind of a couple times, but that's a group that's been extremely steady. I think, those top three guys are as solid as any group we probably have on the team. And again, put a lot on those guys. We're a team that's going to play in a lot of different personnel groupings, and their ability to know what to do in different spots will be critical.
You talk about Wilcox standing out to you. Stoops on Saturday said it's going to be kind of like a group effort from the running backs. Is that kind of how you see it going forward?
I do. I think we have 3 or 4 guys that can all do good things. Much like in a lot of ways we say our wide receiver room. We think we're building 5-6 different guys that all have certain traits that can help us. And so we all know that these great teams have got to be extremely unselfish, buy into whatever their role is, and get it done. And we really feel like we've got the personnel to do that.
When you build a new system, you got Dane and Barry on. You have obviously 2 years of experience here, but when it's a new system, everyone's kind of brand new. Have Dane and Barry helped in that room with the experience? Have they helped the newer guys, or is everyone just kind of on a fresh floor?
I think those veteran players, although everybody's learning the new system, I think the experience that they have of playing college football never leaves you, and so I think for those guys, for them to realize, hey, maybe last year we called it this year we call it that, but just little things. We get into a 2-minute situation, what to do with the ball, what do we do off certain checks, and so on and so forth. I think all those veteran-type guys, probably starting with a guy like Eli Cox, is who we've relied on when it comes to football 101, if you will, non-specific stuff to just our offense.
Bush, when you go 11 on 11, tackle to the ground, does that allow you to get a better look or feel for how the run game is operating? And then did that surprise you one way or the other, or impress you or whatnot when you saw you all able to run when you're tackling to the ground?
I think it absolutely does, because certainly player safety in non-live situations is first and foremost. I think there's a little bit of a surprise factor as well. Just initially, I think we threw a long pass and they were bringing Dane down, and I was almost like, man, I forgot that they got to bring him to the ground now, So a lot of times a couple more explosives happen that way. Again, it's that fine balance of being able to, make sure that you got player safety, but getting the work in you need to get in.
What have you seen from Dane as far as the film that you saw when you first got here, and now he's playing at a bigger size and has that extra muscle?
Yeah, I always think this. I think everybody looks, for these top end, the flash. He can certainly run, but he has been a guy where if you throw it, anywhere around him, he's been coming down with it. And I think it's, from a quarterback standpoint, it changes your mindset a little bit too on where to place certain balls, where it's not always maybe trying to lead a guy, but it's like give him a chance to get up and go make plays. And I think that's the biggest thing.
Coach, last week Vince was telling us that Willie Rodriguez doesn't quite look like a freshman out there. I know Josh has been out and dinged up. How is he taking advantage of the opportunity he's gotten early here?
He's doing a good job again for those freshmen. It's just it's drinking water through a fire hose, if you will. There's a lot going on. They're probably just trying to figure out where their dorms are, and he's got plays on plays on plays. But Willie's a guy, he's extremely coachable. There's a toughness factor that you either have or you don't, and he has it. And so we're super excited for his contributions.
When Hardley has the spring he had, and then apparently the first scrimmage, what's next for him to keep this going between now and the first game?
I just think so highly of him from the standpoint of he's a complete player, and it's probably he doesn't know any better. I laugh sometimes. I think you maybe get a veteran wide receiver and they try to save their legs for the long season. Hardley's known one speed. Whether it's perimeter blocking, regardless of what we ask him to do, he takes pride in it. I think he's an extremely explosive player, and the sky is the limit for him. So,
Coach, what do you observe from third down offense so far this preseason?
Say it one more time.
What have you observed from third down offense?
Well, just again, we're very fortunate to go against Brad White and that defense because they pose a lot of different looks and a lot of different scenarios. So it's really challenged us to be in the right position at the right time. Again, certainly good work for the quarterbacks. We call it strike point accuracy in confined space, and that's the time where you got to earn it, being in those tight spaces and making those throws. So, again, we talked about it's that mixture for us of the separation of guys like Berryon and, Hardley Gilmore and Fred Ferrier, and then it's the reliability on making those tough catches with guys like Dane and Jamori Macklin and Anthony Brown. And so one part is the scheme, the other part is who it's going to, and I think that's always the challenge on third down.
Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate you guys.